I am absolutely amazed at how well orchestrated this whole plan to take control of the people has been planned out. Um, First, they say there's a pandemic, right? And then they shut down all the businesses. They have to shut them down. And then they wait a little while and they keep shutting them down. Everybody's thinking they're going to open any day now. And then when businesses are starting to revolt and people are starting to get together and open businesses on their own, they throw the whole George Floyd thing in there. And they create an uprising and they divide the people. And then when that starts to die off a little bit or plateau out, then they say, oh, there's COVID coming back. So you guys already know we've shut down all these businesses and you don't want that again. So now we're going to make rules and laws that say businesses have to enforce that everybody going into them be wearing a mask. And this is really what the end goal was all the time. The end goal was just to be able to control the people through the businesses. So you won't be able to buy food, you won't be able to make money, you won't be able to do anything without the mark of the beast. And that's what all this is leading up to. We are being socially engineered and programmed so that we are very familiar with the procedure when the time comes. Now, I don't know where you are in the country and what they're doing, but where I'm at right now, for a couple 100 miles, every town, from one town to the next, has passed these ordinances that every business in that town has to enforce their customers wearing a mask. Now, I keep getting around it. I keep saying I'm exempt for medical purposes because it is bad to breathe your own CO2 over and over. I've said I'm exempt for purposes of faith because I don't believe in covering up my image. I'm created in God's image. And so far that's gotten me by. I don't think I've been served everywhere I've gone except one place, a Firestone, and that was a ways back before all these new rules came out. So right now, all this, you have to wear a mask. This is just another way of getting businesses to do the work of the government, because let's face it, they're terrified. They don't want to shut down again. If they shut down, they will go out of business if they already have not gone out of business. So gyms are doing it, restaurants are doing it, gas stations are doing it. If you still go through the drive-thru, you're okay, but if you want to go inside, you have to be wearing a mask. And I never knew how the government was going to bring the mark of the beast about. I knew it was going to happen, and I had ideas, but I never would have thought it was this. And it's working very well. It just shows you how coordinated and how orchestrated the devil and his people are. How they work and walk lockstep, hand in hand, together. They're united for the same cause. The police are actually united with the Black Lives Matter and the Anti-Freedom Association movement. They're all together. They're all working together. The plans to defund the police. This is, again, I don't know how this works into their favor, but somehow it does. My guess is it's probably because once they say, okay, there's no police department, they replace it with a federal agency. Because the whole idea is that we're begging them to save us. Oh, please save us. Now there's no police and people are just robbing and stealing and starting fires, and we need somebody to help control this and get this back under control. Oh, well you're begging us. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll create a government agency. Now the federal government is manning and running all the local police throughout the whole country. That's just a hunch. I know whatever happens doesn't work to our benefit. It doesn't help us. So, I was just thinking about this and how amazingly well orchestrated everything is. And it makes me sad to see Christians so impotent and weak and powerless, and even the mightiest churches that pat themselves on the back, that are going out and they're street preaching, and they're even at the abortion clinics. It all takes is one cop to walk up and say, "You can't stand here, go over there," and they all shudder and they do it, because they're powerless and they're weak, and it's probably because they lack the Holy Spirit or something. But it's a real shame, guys. It's a real shame what's happening, and Christians allow it. None of this could happen if Christians didn't allow it. If Christians only made up 1, 2, 3% of the population, something like that, and we refused to allow it, none of this could happen. I know that for sure. If the Christians ever wake up and they realize they're not living their life like they're created in God's image, let me tell you, what is more powerful in the world to know you were created in the image of the Creator, and in doing so, He gave you dominion over everything. And from that day, the devil wants to change your image. He wants to change it into something it's not. That's what all the face masks are about. We now live in a faceless society. Nobody shows their face. Now, like I said, where you're at, maybe it's not there yet. Where I'm at, it's here. I can walk into a grocery store, and I'm not kidding you, everybody, 100% of the people are wearing a face mask because the local government told them to. Because they wouldn't be able to go in this grocery store if they didn't. And they so quickly, they just fall. They just collapse. It's, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good comparison. They just wilt over, like a flower in the hot sun. They just immediately give way to it. There's zero resistance. And if that's happening now, it's going to be so easy when it comes time for the mark of the beast. If that be a vaccine or a chip, I don't know, or a combination of both, it's going to be so easy. They're all just going to do it in lockstep. They're all going to be begging for their vaccine, begging for their chip, because they're not going to want to go a minute without food, a minute of suffering, a minute without comfort. They're just going to give it right away. And if the Christians don't snap out of this real soon, they're going to give in too. I personally don't mind. Here's the thing. I've got a family. I care about my family. Other than that, you could take my life right now and it wouldn't matter to me. I'm not, if I have to starve to death because I can't get food, I'm sure the Lord's going to provide some way, shape, or form. But, I'm willing. If somebody wants to get together and they want to resist something, let's do it. We need backup. We need to have each other. We need to have somebody with a video camera. We need to have people funding. If people get arrested and they can't take care of their families, there needs to be people there to fund it. There needs to be all kinds of coordination among God-fearing Christians. God-fearing Christians who know that they are men and women created in the image of God, and that there is not 1 square inch of this planet Earth that God does not own, and that we do not have a right to. Now, I'm not talking about people's private property, but everything else I am talking about. I'm talking about government property, city halls, roadways, medians, you name it, wildlife refuges, mountain ranges, you name it. If it's not private property, it belongs to us. And when we have that mentality, and we stand like that, and we walk like that, and we refuse to back down because we're not a bunch of cowards anymore, that's when things can change. That's when we can create a way for our children to survive this, and not feed our children into this mark of the beast system that's coming. You truly don't love your children if you're willing to hand them over. and you are willing to hand them over, as long as you're still placating and kissing the boots and the butts of the government, okay? All right, guys, that's it. I won't bother you anymore today anyways. God bless.